everybody, and welcome back to the Patty Magnets channel. I'm Patty, and it's lovely to see you. Today's video, I am going to share with you my very first knit. It's a little scary, and I'm really sharing what I call my skeleton in the closet. So here we go. Are you ready for this? Wow. Just take a gander at that. I mean, there's just... I don't even know how I did this. There's like holes and drop stitches and yeah. It's like it got wider, it got skinnier. This part wasn't too bad. You can tell when I was like in the yarn store and had somebody there watching and helping me, because that part looks beautiful. It's perfect. And then you have the rest of this crazy. Look at that. I mean, it's insane. Look how crazy that is. Woo! So, like, I took like a beginner knitting class or intro to knitting, where you go in for like 2 hours, and then you go back the next week and you do another 2 hours, and they show you a bunch of different things, which it was too much obviously for my brain, but you can see like here's the cast on edge, and so I did just garter stitch starting out, and that wasn't terrible. And then they showed us how to purl, so they had us doing stockinette right away. And I remember the class started like at 10. It was a Saturday morning, and I was there until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it took me from 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon to do this. And I was exhausted. And at that time we were living in the mountains, and it was an hour and 15-minute drive each way. So I was zonked out when I got home. And so I tried to practice during the week in between the lessons, and this is what I got. And I mean, it's just like, whoa. Let me just so you can fully appreciate what I was doing. Isn't that a mess? I honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. Let's just be real. I was adding stitches, but you know, I worked at it all week, and I sort of got it here, but not really. And then there's like big holes, and then you can tell. So here's where I went back the next week to the yarn shop, and then they were helping me, and then I got it. And then I went back home, and it was, you know, it was not as bad of a mess, but it's still a mess. And then it was like all this really just crazy stuff was going on, and it just continued with the crazy. I don't even know what I was doing here. So, yeah. Yarn overs and just total insanity. And the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because I think it's important that people realize, you know, this is kind of how it is when you start. And there's no shame to just making a mess, because you're going to. It takes some time to get used to handling the needles and handling the yarn, and that's just how it is. So these are the knitting needles that I bought when I was there. I started on 10s.5, and I love these needles. I still love these needles. I love wood needles. I think wooden is the best way for a new person to start, because it does grip the yarn a little bit. I think that helps you with your tension, and I think it's helpful because your stitches won't fall off the needles. If you start with metal, it's very hard to keep your stitches on the needles, and it's very hard to get your tension right because it's too slippery. I use metal needles if I'm on circulars, but to this day, when I do straight, I go with wood, and these are some of my favorites still. But anyway, yeah, the yarn was nice, and I wish I knew what it was, because I'd love to have more of it, but I have no idea. I remember it came from Peru. That's all I remember. I know it was Peruvian, and it's beautiful though, and the color is really good on me. But I wouldn't wear it out. Although it was funny. So I took this class at the Needle Lady in Charlottesville, Virginia. And Mimi is the person who taught me how to knit. So I'm showing it to you so that you realize that this is where we all start, and that's okay. And chances are good that you're probably doing a better job than I did, which is it's good for, that's a great sign. That means that you have a very high probability of being really successful with this. But let me show you now my second project. So here is my second project. It's hard to see it on camera, but it's another garter stitch scarf. And the one of the women at the yarn shop, she crocheted on these really cute, it's like little flowers. Isn't that cool? So she crocheted the end on for me. But I used the same needles. This yarn is Rowan. I remember that. And this scarf I still wear. So it's really super long. And it's blue and purple, which is kind of funny because those are my business colors, blue and purple, with like a mustard accent. And I will still wear this one. It's very warm, and I'm really, really quite proud of this scarf. So, if you don't give up after your first knit, you can start progressing along at a pretty good pace. So just give yourself permission to make a mess. It's okay. We all make a mess. That's why I'm sharing this with you. I'll be honest with you. I was going to throw it away because I was like, this is a mess. I never want anybody to see this. And Mimi said, no, don't ever throw away your first project, because you should always keep it as a reminder of how far you've come. And she's right. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. If you're a new person, whether you've knit a few things or maybe you haven't started at all, hold on to that first project, because it's amazing how far you can come, and pretty quickly too. If you stick with it, you just have to keep practicing. It's like learning a language or playing an instrument. It's going to feel really awkward and really weird at first, but if you keep going, it gets easier and easier. I think the key is to not overload yourself with too many techniques at one time. And that's why when I teach people, we just do garter stitch. And that's all. We just stick to that, which is knit stitch over and over. And that gives you a chance to really get comfortable. And then I have you knit the same scarf 3 times, and you use the same needles. So I think that is the best way for a beginner to really get comfortable with the whole process. And then once you are super comfortable with those basic stitch techniques, you can move on to something a little more complex. But yeah, and then you can make these beautiful stockinette patterns. This is a foundation. You've got to make beautiful stockinette before you can make anything else that's really beautiful. And I have my own mini course that's on my website, and I will leave you a link below. And if you're interested, you can check that out. It's got patterns, and I will share all of the stitch tutorials with you, like in order, and you can enjoy making your very own garter stitch scarf. Thanks for watching, and I enjoyed spending this time with you, and I will see you next time. Thanks.